Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, June 19, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a Time for Change call this Wednesday night around 9 p.m. Eastern. In each moment of this life, we have the choice to respond to life from a completely new, alive, and freeing space that is born in the now. Or we can react from an older, unconscious, conditioned pattern that stems from a past story. The choice is always yours. In each second, if you respond from a fresh place of freedom, or from past conditioning. The type of story we are talking about is not the enjoyable fantasy fairy tale story that we all enjoy listening to around the campfire. It's that one that we drag around like an old ball and chain attached to a heavily shielded yet wounded heart. The infamous victim story is one most of us know all too well. It's the one that is fixated on how another wronged us, or how we are struggling with money, or unable to find the love of our life, or create the career we really want. We often unconsciously believe that by repeating the story over and over and over, it will help us to escape it, transcend it, or feel better about our poor, lonely, victimized self. What really happens is that by repeating what we don't want to manifest in our lives, we simply become more wrapped up in the ego's illusions of being trapped, helpless, and powerless. The positive is that you always have the power to transcend your story if you can become conscious enough to see who or what is truly creating it. It's good to know that all of our stories were created by some life event, big or small, that actually happened. The event naturally occurred, then the mind took over and invented its special, specific, positive, or negative meaning on top of the actual event. We invite you to take this entire week to write down and notice all the stories you tend to repeat in your mind and to other people. This is a very powerful, life-changing exercise. Notice if they're positive or negative stories, or who would you be without any of these stories? These stories stick because something happened in your life that your mind judged as wrong or absolutely always right, and found some sort of peace within that perception. However, when you hold on to any thought or idea about this life too tightly, you become overly attached and miss this amazing universe that's happening now. Attachment always leads to some future suffering. And it's always your choice if you want to be free and manifest more of amazing goodies to be stuck with the same old small tune. One thing that we haven't quite figured it out, that when you love someone, you don't need to be attached to them. Okay? That's where the fear and pain and suffering comes in. Keeping a story from your past alive takes a lot of work and will drain all your energy. Keeping a story from your past alive takes a lot of work and will drain all of your energy. You ever met people that are always bringing up these past events and stories, and they're to repeat it, repeat it, repeat it? Well, and I was doing this and this and that. You ever notice that? This illusionary mind loves to create stories about stories. Heck, you may even be creating a story about this exploration of stories. The reality is that you are not this mind, nor your ego, nor your body, and certainly not an accumulation of all your stories. You're much more than can be expressed in words. You're an infinite soul beyond the ideas of freedom and love. You are and always will be so much vaster than any story your ego could invent. You will continue to exist long after this story has been forgotten by you and the world. Your being is naturally expansive and completely free. You have just been covering up your true infinite nature with stories. Tricky part in transcending any story is that our ego loves the drama of an emotionally juicy adventure. It's like chocolate ice cream to a child. Our life's traumas and deep issues are so personal, wild, crazy, and feel so real that they often make us feel unique and that we are even someone superior or special. Truth is that everyone was born uniquely superior, special. And we all have the same core issues deep inside. These core issues are about being unloved, unwanted, abandoned, and unworthy. What a great recipe to instigate massive transformation in one's lifetime. Now, you may find yourself sticking to these issues because the mind gets busy entertaining the victim story instead of being truly curious about recognizing your divine infinite nature. These personal issues can make up a major part of who you think you are. So to let go of them in many ways can feel like letting go of your entire identity. If you dropped the story, you would have to do the scariest thing of all. You'd need to totally reinvent yourself. Maybe this isn't such a bad thing. You could choose to only be loved, free, powerful, and without any limitation. Is this a challenge you would be willing to take on? Letting go of your story may feel like dying. Yet, in the end, there is no death without some kind of rebirth. So how does one truly transcend their story? Just watch it. Don't participate in it. Watch it. Notice if you are focusing on what you want or don't want. See how present you are to the now moment, or just reprogramming yourself with some illusions from your past. The experience you have will always be created from your personal interpretation and universal perception. If you find that you are really stuck putting energy into how you weren't enough of this or that, then you may simply need some tools to shift your experience. Now, some suggestions are to stop retelling your story. When you hear yourself telling somebody your famous story that makes you feel small, powerless, or less than divine, immediately stop yourself. even if you're in mid-sentence, as soon as you stop repeating your story, you stop giving it energy, and the story soon withers away. Imagine a big red stop sign in front of you and simply stop. You stop the mouth from talking. Don't move a muscle. Be absolutely still and silent. And investigate deeper inside to discover where this story is coming from and what this part of you actually is yearning to feel, be, do, or have. It's almost like being an archaeologist explorer. You start digging. If you are socializing while you are storytelling, you need some space to do the digging. Gently remove yourself from the situation. Go and sit in the bathroom. Investigate the source of this saboteur. It's worth it. These stories can ruin your life or transform it. If you take time to really look at your stories, you'll discover what it takes to transcend them completely. By simply seeing how your story is an illusion of the past that the ego is stubbornly holding on to, you are instantly free of it. And we all, have you ever done that? You ever been in a group and you start telling your story? It could be anything from the past. What happened? How things went? What did you do? What were your encounters? And you find yourself repeating this story a lot, but I don't think a lot of us are aware of it. But you bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, and you talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. It's really draining on the person telling the story. You've probably seen scenes where, oh no, here they go. They're going to tell us about that one time. Okay. Those are stories. Take 5 steps back from your story. Freedom comes from finding the space between you and your story. When your story arises and you feel it pulling you in, imagine that you are taking 5 large steps back away from your story. Just as if you were stepping back from an angry person or a growling dog or some feisty child who has had too much sugar. Take one small step. You cannot take a large one, right? If you cannot take a large one, and with each step take a deep breath of air and become the observer. One small step. Look at your story like you were watching a movie or a TV show. Recognize that it is just that. Some drama being played over and over and over on your ego's video screen. Now that you are separate from the story, it is easier to see the truth of it and be free from it. When you identify the story that you are most attached to, the one you repeat most often, each time you start repeating it, simply state one thing that you are grateful for instead. Refocus your mind on what is working in your life and what you are grateful for right now. There are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of things that you can be grateful for, no matter where you are or who you are. You can be grateful that the sun rose this morning to heat our planet, and that you have clean drinking water, or that you are breathing with life in this moment instead of dying. This list goes on and on and on. Look around at this world. And notice the beauty, detail, and the exquisite abundance. The more time you spend in gratitude, the faster your ego stories will die and become distant memories. When you're in a place of gratitude, you automatically send out positive energetic vibrations, which in turn magnetize to you the kind of positive, uplifting things you want to manifest. Once you leave your story behind, you can see the truth of your experience and experience total freedom from your ego's suffering and limiting beliefs. This exercise will help you be liberated once and for all from your stories. Just go for it. You can do it. Many have. Many have. How many, who can say to themselves, right? Who can say that they don't take this life too seriously? And mean it and feel it from the heart mind. Okay? Non-serious. You go more into a playfulness, and all the burden on your heart disappears. All the fear of death, of life, of love, everything disappears. One starts living in the very lightweight, almost no weight. You ever felt light? Ask yourself, how much trust do you carry with yourself? Right? How much do you trust yourself? Now, we have, every moment, we have the golden opportunity to choose trust over fear. When we can learn how to let go of this tight grip we have on life, we immediately make a more intimate space for a closer relationship with the divine healing intelligence that abides behind everything. All of our overly fearful, doubtful, and protective feelings instantly fade away when we are trusting that a divine intelligence is always present in our lives. A softness blossoms inside. We regain our natural ability to relax fully into our body and can start enjoying every detail about our present, past, and future. With deep trust, we can evolve as spiritual beings. Without it, we are lost. We can ascend to the point where we are trusting that every experience that life brings us is absolutely divine and perfect. Even if an experience may be painful. The greater, deeply eternal loving is known and felt hidden inside. A trusting heart can quietly realize how a fear is our greatest teacher, always invoking a higher state of spiritual awareness into our future, so that we stop pretending to be these small, powerless, ego-driven beings and start living that truly amazing life we so love. Choosing trust over fear really comes down to worshiping our spiritual nature over our ego. It's about a deep devotion to our real selves and being truly dedicated to filling up our precious time on earth, on this earth, with more relaxation, appreciation, and joy instead of ego-driven anxieties, demands, and tension. With trust as our deepest guide, we can pierce through the ego's veil of ignorance and perceive those life-changing and challenging people and situations with the utmost patience and appreciation. Having no resistance to fear, we flow with the great spirit of life and know everything works itself out karmically in the very end. This level of trust instills such a fresh, enlightening perspective about life, which instantly liberates the mind from all negative thinking with trust in charge. When we hit an emotional wall of resistance or fear, we open up to it instead of shut down even further. We feel into the wall, knowing there is always a bigger spiritual lesson behind it to be learned, and looking forward to finding out what it is. This approach is what allows for a deeper state of peace to make its home inside our heart and soul. Trust is such a powerful force that can turn the most ordinary life instantly into an extremely rich spiritual adventure with trust. We feel safe and connected with everyone we meet, and naturally are overflowing with an effervescence, joy in all directions. We tend to respond to others with compassion instead of criticism, curiosity instead of impatience, and understanding instead of judgment. Every moment of life, this life, becomes a new doorway that opens up to the highest and deepest aspects of our being. When we become more aware on how trust is a choice, we discover power, right? We discover our power to either expand or contract our experience of life in each moment. This power enables us to become the spiritual masters of our destiny. We no longer fear life, yet embrace it all. As we gain more trusting momentum, we are able to remain only in the trust vibration for longer periods of time. We understand how to skyrocket our consciousness in a matter of minutes and eventually catapult our lives into the fifth dimensional realm of the divine. Trust is the magical gateway to our true unlimited nature as it transcends the ego and opens the door to our most enlightened state of consciousness. The self is like the screen, and the world is like the pictures on it. You can see the picture only so long as there is a screen. But when the seer sees himself become the screen, only the self remains. How many people would you say, just on a guess, that are fear-dominated at this point in this time and this now on this planet? Now, if fear has been dominating your life, retreat. You can let it go. Forgive yourself, free the others, and release whatever has happened in your past. You can move on. It's not worth it to hang on to any low vibration for another day. You get to a point where you'll know that you're putting out low vibration, low frequency. You just know. You'll identify it. You just say, I don't care. Then you go into gratitude, see? Then you move up, you increase your vibrational frequency. Trust that all the trauma you received in life, in this life, so far, was given by God to wake you up from this deep, sleepy dream. We are all asleep, and everyone has been caught in some dramatic, perpetually self-wounding victim spin cycle. Taught to never trust in life, ourselves, or anyone else again. Just let it go, and remember you are still lovable, worthy, and totally amazing, exactly as you are. We're here to advance our spiritual understanding. One of the main reasons. We're in this, it's like everything is a massive class in spiritual growth and radical enlightened maturity. That's what we have. Whatever our past life circumstances might have been, we are always given the choice how we wish to respond to them now. Every time we choose trust over fear, everyone's heart opens a bit wider. We feel a more gentle, healing, heart-warming energy coming in. This warm, trusting heart is needed in this life for the divine intelligence. Universe is always testing our level of awareness, checking in to see how awake we are. The test is always the same. How will we choose to respond? With more trust or fear? It might throw us a bag of super sour lemons, just to see if we know how to add some playful, creative sweetness and make a pitcher of lemonade. It's good to know that the opposite of fear is not love. It is trust. The opposite of fear is not love, it is trust. Yet through living a life of trust, we naturally start falling in love with everything and everyone. With 100% trust, we become a loveaholic of life, feeling naturally orgasmic about this precious opportunity we have to live, feeling completely turned on by this chance to find our spiritual path and connection. The expansive feeling in the heart can become so divinely open that every breath feels as though we are making love with the divine. It's a choice. Are you ready to sign up for choosing a life devoted to always responding with trust? Yes. The spiritual power we receive from the trust vibration is simply awesome. Total trust effortlessly engulfs all kinds of egoic negativity that may try to dominate any room. When a person who has 100% unshakable trust enters any community, it's so penetrating and contagious that everyone's ego eventually falls into either embarrassment or humility. When this group of people all simultaneously begin choosing trust over fear, you can feel this giddy, enlightening joy exponentially expanding through everyone's lives. The group energy becomes more relaxed and at ease with their life, their future, and everything as it is. To live a life flowing with trust is important to understand that fear is not a bad thing. It's not something you want behind making any of your decisions. You make fear-based decisions in your life, you will only create fear-based outcomes. If you try to avoid fear or attempt to delete it completely from your life, it will sneak back in when your guard is down. Fearful thoughts are there to wake you up to invite in your biggest self, as they are simply small contracted truths about reality. It's like little tiny grains of sand that can be so meaningless and inconsequential unless one of them gets stuck in your eye. It is amazing how something so small can create such a huge pain. In walking the path of fear, we are living from our ego, because the ego is always feeling either superior or inferior. We become very controlling and judgmental. Living in the ego, we become narrow-minded and completely unaware that we are abiding in a very small limiting truth. We know we are living from ego because we feel constantly unsatisfied, perpetually searching for the next fantastic thing or new pleasure to escape into. The ego does not know what inner peace is. It is untrusting of new things, sticking only to what is comfortable and often feels caught in needing to protect itself from our emotions and feelings. The ego is always in new ways to hide or shine because it does not trust our inner light will always be there to guide us through the darkness. When there is no desire to dominate, no desire to cling, no desire to possess, the ego starts evaporating. In order to always choose trust over fear, we need to take a more sensitive approach to feeling into ourselves so we can see when we are in a state of trust or fear. You can check in any moment of your day on what is going on in the area around your heart and chest. If it feels expansive and light, you're in a state of trust. If it's tight and heavy, you're holding on to fear. The general feeling you carry in your chest is your trust barometer. You see what types of choices you're making every day. When we are living each day of our lives in fear, we tend to want to control everything and force our way through this life. We tend to live in this hurry up mode, rushing through each sacred experience, missing out on the small precious moments where it could have felt as heavenly angels were present. When trust does not become a natural response to this life, we become afraid to make decisions. We stop taking risks. We feel stuck in some weird emotional prison and perpetually unhappy for no reason at all. When fear is more important than trust, we feel like a failure in this life, instead of simply removing the small speck of sand from our own eye. We spend our time trying to change ourselves, others, and the outer world. Once we discover how to trust in the experience of trust, a bigger truth takes over our lives, and the walls of our fearful, boxed-in life slowly fall away. If you need to liberate yourself from a fearful state, you must choose to welcome all your fears with 100% trust and remember everything is perfect exactly as it is. This universe never makes mistakes. We simply have to accept every pile of manure as a message that we need more fertilizer. Simply refocus your awareness back onto the biggest feeling of trust that you can remember. Dwell only on that trusting feeling for 1 to 2 hours. Give yourself permission to stop dwelling on what you fear. In a very short time, you can find the spiritual light starts seeping back into your very soul again. You see how it's a choice. And for every one of us, it is a learning. It really is. We don't ever stop learning. We conceivably can create such a high vibrational frequency that all pure evil on this planet completely vaporizes. gone. Now, when you say that to most, they're usually operating from their ego mind. And, of course, that response is that, well, that's bull ticky. That's crap. When it really is not. When it really is not crap. How many times have you had the opportunity to choose? To leave the civilization, society, human psyche, right? Which is a society. So you can kind of figure it out and you say, well, I'm just going to leave all this. I'm going to embrace who and what I am. I'm going to focus on peace, tranquility, love. It's a choice. We can make those choices. But see, when you're getting to make a decision to shift direction, right? Change gears. And you go find this. And it always comes back to, are you fearful? Now, when we know this, that we're not the body. We're not the name. We're not the character. We're not the personality. We don't own anything. We really don't. It's kind of it's temporary. Well, I'll enjoy that as long as I'm in this body, but after I leave this body, I'll never see it or enjoy it again. See, and then welcoming all the fears, if you want to liberate yourself, if you welcome all the fears with 100% trust, and remember everything is perfect exactly as it is. You know, how many people would absorb that? How many people would say, hey, that's great, I'm going to do that, and do it? I've had people say, what's my motivation? What do I get out of it? What's my motivation for this? What am I going to receive in return? Joy, happiness, elimination of stress, anxiety, and fear. But a lot of people look at that as not enough. It just, the trade-off isn't enough. When they don't realize that when you're in that state, everything comes to you. So therefore, some people try to rush it and press it. In other words, bang it into place, force it into place, and that backfires. We can literally choose to be happy or choose to be sad. No one can do it for you. No one, period. You can choose to be happy or choose to be sad. You can choose to be fearful or not fearful. You can embrace yourself for who and what you are omnipotently powerful, immortal God within that body. You know, we have this opportunity sitting there right in front of us all the time. But it's an unknown, and if you don't have trust in yourself, you're not going to do it. You will not do it. You kind of say, what's the outcome? If someone came up to you and said to you, and you knew they weren't kidding, right? And they said this out of the clear blue. That multiple off-worlders, off-world civilizations have influenced and steered the DNA of mankind in order for it to evolve to a higher state. So and that's true. That's true. And constantly increasing, but see, we've been tricked a lot of times too. Would you really like to be 55 feet tall? Would you really like this? Would you really like that? It's kind of a fear that and it goes hand in hand, or denial, where we just, no, that's this, no, don't give me that. That's just garbage anyway. If you need to liberate yourself from a fearful state, there's a lot of people that are in fearful states. You must choose to welcome all your fears with 100% trust, and remember, everything is perfect exactly as it is. This universe never makes mistakes, as we know. We simply have to choose to accept every pile of manure as a message that we need more fertilizer. If your life or mind becomes too overwhelming or challenging, simply refocus your awareness back on the biggest feeling of trust that you can remember. Dwell only on that trusting feeling for 1 to 2 hours. Give yourself permission to stop dwelling on what you fear. And in a very short time, you can find the spiritual light start seeping back into your very soul again. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in from the nose, and an easy and slow breath in out from the mouth. Remain still. Who you think you are is just a concept. It's not even close to the amazing multidimensional being that you really are. Look into a mirror for just 5 minutes today. Stare into the black holes in your eyes. Let yourself disappear in the emptiness. Stay for about 30 seconds in one state of mind. Keep breathing and noticing who is the creative witnesser behind your eyes. Observe what conscious spiritual energy is present. Lose yourself in the experience. Let yourself dissolve into the experience. Who is having the experience? Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Tuesday, June 20, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble to yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.